Today on Metaphysical Mississippi, we have Jessica Arndt and Sarah Scarchilli. They're both psychic mediums, and they're holding a gallery reading on March 25th from 6 to 9 at Soul Synergy. There are more dates coming soon throughout the year, so stay tuned and let's get on with the show. Welcome to Metaphysical Mississippi. I'm Emily, and of course I have co-host Krista with me, and today we have Jessica Arndt and Sarah Scarchilli, and they are both psychic mediums, and we are going to be talking about a psychic medium gallery reading that they plan to have on March 25th from 6 to 9 at Soul Synergy Rocks and Crystals in Flowood, Mississippi. How y'all doing today, girls?
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know we discussed about other dates coming up, so we'll drop a few of those dates. We'll maybe sprinkle that in at the end. But I do know y'all have several dates throughout the year. So if someone can't make it for the 25th, they've got other dates to come. Well, Sarah, we had you on probably about a month or so ago, and it was such a delight. And Jessica, I just met you this past weekend, so we're going to show a little more love to Jessica today, just so
girl.
find out more about her.
Spotlight.
So yeah,
do it up.
Yeah, I'll link Sarah's interview at the end. But yeah, but I do want to hear from both of you how you both made a connection with each other and what you've teamed up to do.
I'll just say that I met Jessica, and you just met Jessica this past weekend at an event that we may talk a little bit about as we go on in the show. But I actually met Jessica and Sarah at the same time, same place. How many years ago? 2 or 3 years ago?
2020, I think it was 2020.
So we're coming up to almost 3 years.
Yeah.
Maybe it has been 3 years. So yeah, I met Sarah and Jessica on the same day, and my life has never been the same since then.
Oh,
I knew that there was something different
Mine
about
either.
you.
In the best way possible.
Agreed. That was a great night.
So I'm just excited. And Jessica, we won't spend a whole lot of time with your origin story, but we do want to get to know you a little bit before we jump into the talking about the great things that you and Sarah together have coming up. What happened to bring you where you are here today?
Right.
How did you get here today?
Well, it's not that epic of a story, actually. I love to hear other stories, and when it gets to be my turn, I'm like, it's kind of dull. I feel like I never knew that I had any type of intuition or gifts or mediumship or channeling. I'd had some kind of sprinkled in experiences that I couldn't explain, but I thought everybody perceived and sensed the way that I did and just didn't talk about it. And if I mentioned it, people were like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And I just always kind of felt like the black sheep a little bit. So I just didn't talk about it. But I thought people are just like, I really thought people experienced it. They just didn't know what they were experiencing. And I thought everybody was the same way that I was. And so I really don't have, I didn't always know. I didn't know how to tap into it or tune into it. So I wanted to do something for myself. To just kind of get out of the house and like a little hobby. And I'd always felt pulled to the metaphysics, but I didn't even know that's what it was called. And I just so happened, my best friend got her Reiki Master certification, and she was talking to me about that. And she took me to Soul Synergy and introduced me to a few people there. And I went online one day and saw that they taught classes there. And so I was like, oh, that'll be a fun hobby just to kind of see what it's about and learn a little bit something. And little did I know that I was one of the ones that really had a strong connection with psychism and mediumship and channeling and all these other amazing things that so many of us can do. And it just kind of took off from there. And I felt so good meeting people for the first time who experienced things the way that I did. And it was like a coming home of sorts. Some of us have, drifted apart and come closer together. And, things have fluctuated throughout the years, but I've continued to grow and develop and learn and meet new people and experience new things. And that's been the best part of all of this, is just the connections that I've made with other people and the healing that I've received from those people. It's made all the difference for me. And I love being that person or messenger or whatever that can give back, like pay it forward kind of thing. Someone did it for me. Someone took me under their wing, and I love being able to do that now as I go through. And I got a lot of little moms and sisters and daughters, of my own. So it's just been a great community and a great experience for me. So that's kind of how I got into it. And
I'm going to ask a question. You said it wasn't, but you can't remember anything that just stood out to you. Like, could you visually see things that other people couldn't see, or did
Yes.
you hear things that
Yes.
other people couldn't hear?
yes, but I didn't know it until I got to class and someone told me what it was and gave me the terminology and the label for it, right? And then I realized I do see and hear and feel and taste and smell and just know things, and that other people don't. And the same way that I felt in my gut pulled to take the classes
Mhm.
was my body saying yes, right? They taught me how to listen to my body, what my body tells me yes and no. And so I've always had those things. Yes. And that is what prompted me to sign up for the classes and get into it, was that sensing, that knowing, that pull that there is more,
And I know I asked Sarah about knowing, discerning the different voices or gut feelings, and knowing what is you and what is something outside of you. And so I guess before you had the classes helped you filter it out. Is that
Differentiate.
yeah?
Yes. I do experience it differently. So when I'm having internal dialogue with me, Jessica, my human self,
Yeah.
I sound like me in my head. And it's typically, I don't want to sound negative, but it's not always the highest vibrational things that are coming through. I know if there's, negative thoughts coming through and showing up, that it's not, that's my human self. That's my 3D human self, right? And I have to put that human ego aside and balance it a little bit. When I'm talking to my higher self, it's a different frequency. I feel it it's a different energy signature. It's kind of, I guess the best way I could describe it is, if you have a family member or children and you know how they smell, right?
Yes.
If you smell a t-shirt of your baby or your child or your partner, it smells like them, and it's theirs, right? And then if you smell someone else's, it's theirs, right? Because of their personal scent or the perfume or cologne that they wear. And so it's kind of like that. So when I'm talking to my human self, it sounds like me. And when I'm talking to my, higher self, I feel it differently. It feels like a different frequency. It's a more pure message. It's a higher love message. When my spirit team talks to me, they each have a different frequency or a different smell. And when I'm talking to other people's loved ones, I feel it differently. And I hear their voices differently too. So there's a discernment between feeling the different energy signatures, but also how it sounds to me.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
that makes sense.
yeah, no, I
I'm
really
making
like
that all up.
how you put the scent in there with it.
It kind of,
Because
yeah, but that's the best analogy I could describe is like, I feel it differently, the same way that you would smell different smells differently. And I know if it's me or a team member or a loved one by the voice that I hear, but also how their energy feels to me.
I was pondering, I was listening to your talk to the talk we did, Sarah, and
Mhm.
earlier, the previous podcast earlier today, trying to make sure I don't ask the same questions. And I might have asked this question, but when I'm thinking of people talking to spirits, and I'm thinking ghosts, and I'm thinking scary, and how I've seen those shows where it's a burden, and I was so impressed with
Mm.
how you were like, it's a gifting, it's a gift. It is not. So I love how you share this as this is a present that you have been given. It's a blessing to your life. And what was that moment in your life that you finally were, have you always felt that it is to bless, or has it ever been a burden of like, oh, fear, how can I shut this off? I'm cursed with it. And I don't know
Yeah,
if
no,
I articulated it
Because
right.
I think there's a lot of people that especially people that don't have the
Yes.
support systems like we have, our
Correct.
community
Yes,
and
I would
family
agree. Yes,
that
I would agree.
don't want it because they don't know how
Well,
to deal with it or what to do
and
with it.
here's something else. I mean, we've had people in classes that we've all taken together where somebody in their family has told them that they're literally clinical,
Yes.
right? And some individuals have spent time in medical institutions for psychiatric care because they're quote unquote hearing voices. Well, guess what? They are, and they're not crazy.
Yeah.
No, some people are and do need, we talked about this in our last podcast. Some people do need
Yeah.
mental health care, and there's nothing wrong with seeking mental health care. I encourage every single human to go out and go to counseling
And some
every day,
people
all day.
may have both things going on. Yes, there's
Well, here's the
mental
thing. Everybody's
and
got mental health. I don't care who you are. Everybody's in
Yeah.
fear every single day at some point. Everybody,
Yes.
every human being. That's a part of being human. The part about that we don't talk about is how to move emotion out of the physical body so it gets stuck. And when it gets stuck, then we behave in ways that are not in a place where we're feeling light filled. We feel like we're a little bit darker in our gray areas, or we're closer to a black because we don't feel good in our own skin. So we get angry, people get violent, people make poor decisions. And that's where I believe that stems from. So some people really do have challenges in that area. And some people just are misdiagnosed and they're actually very connected to spirit.
I
Yeah.
also think it stems from people not understanding what's going on with them and not knowing
Absolutely.
how to ground and clear, like Sarah was talking about, and to protect their energy. And
Yes.
when you
Yes.
know how to do that,
Yes.
all the other stuff kind of fades into the background somewhat. And
Right.
I can't say that I've experienced a whole lot of those lower frequency energies. I'm much more scared of human beings than I am of lower frequency
Okay.
energies. You know what I mean? Like, I interact with lower
Agreed.
frequency human beings on a regular
Daily
basis,
basis.
and very rarely do I come in contact with those lower frequency energies that we're talking about. And I don't focus on those either, because I believe what we focus on our thought is what we attract into us too. So while I will agree and admit that they are out there, and I wouldn't deny
Absolutely.
that,
Absolutely.
I don't focus on it, right? I focus on the light filled energies, that pure source love energies, those things that come in to heal And so learning.
And some
learning-
people's gifting is specifically to work with those dark energies.
Yes.
Mine is not. Mine is like Jessica's. Mine is designed to be in light. I can feel the darkness. I know when it doesn't feel good in my body, right? It gives me like a chill or just a very uncomfortable feeling. Or I get like a warning sign in my third eye and sort of my field. So I can detect most times, but most time my body will react before my brain catches up. And my gifting, I know, is to be in light. It is to help people find their light, to reclaim the light in their soul, that connects to oneness, that connects to unconditional love from divine.
So I think it all goes back. It's really all about the inner work. It's all about, like, the first step is to know yourself and to know what you're experiencing, to get to know yourself and listen to yourself, listen to your body. Our body is a tool. Our physical body is one of the tools in our little medicine bag that we carry
It
around.
surely is.
You know, figuratively, and dark serves a purpose sometimes too. Like dark is not.
It allows the light to shine brighter.
Right. Dark's not always
No.
No,
But it's
dark
perfect.
operates at a different frequency than light does. And that's
Correct.
it. It's
But
neither
if you're
good nor
looking
bad.
for the
It's
bad-
just a different frequency.
Yes. Yes.
And
But you'll find what you're looking for.
and you
Absolutely. Well, you'll be called to that. You'll be called. People will know. You know, I'm just not called to do a lot of that work in that area. I do and have helped bring people to light who are stuck when their souls are stuck in a wallow in an in-between space. I have and can and done that before to help souls move up. But that's because I want them to, my human self, right? And my spiritual self wants them to ascend to the light, to connect back to that unconditional love space, to heal.
why don't y'all share a little bit more about the gallery, the Psychic Medium gallery reading coming up March 25th.
March 25th at Soul Synergy, 6 to 9 p.m. And there's going to be registration online. You can catch it on Instagram and Facebook. You can go into Soul Synergy itself and go ahead and register and purchase your ticket. There is limited seating, so you want to make sure that you get your ticket ahead of time because we're anticipating a big turnout. Big turnout.
So tell us, what is a psychic medium gallery reading?
I'll let you
Jess.
take it, Sarah.
Okay, so this is what happens. The two crazy psychic mediums that are known as Jessica and Sarah get on a stage at Soul Synergy, and we literally start reading the energy of the audience. It is one of the most amazing parts of our gifting. Sometimes we receive things from, majority of the time we're getting information from somebody's loved one who's crossed over, so somebody who's passed away,
So
and we're
someone
getting
that's in the
details.
audience? Probably someone in the audience. Yeah.
Yes. We also set, Jessica and I always set intention for ourselves in our own practice. And I feel like I'm going to speak through for a hot second, Jessica, but we set intention when we're reading that we only try to call in or put the flashlight up to talk to people who, somebody in the audience or that we have known, or that whoever the person, not us, the other person, the sitter knows, right? Otherwise, we'll be in there all day talking to dead people and nobody will be able to claim them based on the evidence that's coming in.
Yes.
So the intention is for somebody in the audience to be able to know some of the information that's coming through. And that for me comes in a little bit differently to Jessica, but a lot of our stuff actually comes in the same ways. We know things, we get chills, we hear things. I see words kind of fly in. I feel women on the right side of my body, men on the left side of my body, they, them, sort of somewhere in the top, or spirit guide somewhere in the top. Jessica talks about smell. I taste a lot. I also can smell. So there are different ways that all that comes in. I feel emotion extremely intensely in my physical body when I read mediumistically and psychically. So these are some of the signs that happen in my body. And so when one of us is standing up there, we're going to get flooded with all kinds of information coming in, and we're just going to start talking. And we just start talking about what we're receiving and what we're hearing and feeling and seeing and experiencing in our physical bodies, in our mind's eye. And then the hope is for somebody to say, oh, wait, that could be me. That could be my loved one. It is, two things can happen when you're sitting in an audience like this. One, you can be like, it's my person, take me right here. For a lot of people, they're like, oh my God, is that really my person? Is that somebody is that my family member? And then they get, yeah, they might get nervous, or this might be their first experience connecting with energy in this way. And for some people, it can cause a lot of fear, and they might not want to raise their hand, or somebody might come in that they really don't want to connect with. That's a big possibility as well. And so for those folks who don't raise their hand, we honor that can happen. And we just ask for our human selves and our spiritual selves to disconnect from that energy and move on and bring somebody else forward so that we can try to get more message out to those people in the audience. I hope that answered your question. It was a kind of a long-winded answer.
Yes, no. I did want to ask, as an audience participant, should they come prepared with a certain person in mind? I mean, what are you expecting the audience to bring to you? I mean, do you start thinking about the people? You say little prayers? If I was an audience member, do I say little prayers?
Go ahead, Jessica. That's a great question.
That is a great question. It's a little bit different for everybody. I always say, talk to your family. If you want someone specific to show up, ask them to show up. I promise you, your loved ones are going to turn up whether you ask them to or not. It just depends on who we have the strongest connection with, but always ask them to come and show up. They're with you anyway, supporting you as you go through. We set the intention to connect with the loved ones directly there to you. Unfortunately, not everyone in the audience will get a reading. There's no way Sarah and I could connect with 80 or so plus people and give them a reading in 3 hours, unfortunately. But we say what we want the audience to bring is high energy and excitement, because it's going to be a fun evening. There's going to be laughter. There's going to be entertainment. There's going to be joy. There's going to be releasing, and there's going to be healing. And that is the biggest thing that we want to bring to people is healing. That we're delivering messages from your loved ones to you that help you release and let go, to help you validate what's going on in your life, to repair relationships that didn't get repaired while they were still living. And so there's really nothing to be afraid of, as far as that goes, because it's all about joy and healing. And there are some emotional moments, but it's not, it's relief. Those emotional moments are relief and release. And it's not here. We have discernment, right? We're not going to say things that are truly very intimate and personal in a big group. If you wanted to get really deep into those personal, intimate messages, we would encourage you to schedule a session one-on-one with us, or even a small group with a family. But we're not going to talk about those really personal details. We say it in a way where the audience member knows what we mean, but that we're not, I don't want to say like putting them on blast. We're not going to share those really intimate details, because we wouldn't want that for ourselves. But you can expect sometimes technical difficulties with sound,
often
and lighting. You may see the lighting flicker, because when you have that many loved ones and all the energy that the audience brings into it, it affects. It's all energy. It's all and it can affect the, technical electricity and things like that. And so it's kind of cool to see those things. It's not scary. It's like, oh, sometimes they're like, oh, that's my dad showing out, playing with the lights, and it's fun, and it's a really great experience. So
I
That's
have to say too, Jessica and I are we're very animated readers. I think we can be really funny at times, and we can find the humor in a lot of things, which I think is really great because it's always great to laugh, how healing energy and laughter. But then there are moments that we can get very serious and really connect on a very deep emotional level to a sitter, somebody who's in the audience who's connected with the loved one who we're bringing in. We had a little practice run last weekend, and with a local space, and we had a smaller group, and all of that happened.
Yes,
We laughed, we cried, we were like, oh my God, did that just happen? Every single one of us had aha moments. There were aha moments by everybody that night, I think. It was beautiful.
It was.
I mean, Sarah and I get so much healing being the messengers, right? Like some of these messages are for us too, and they're for everyone in the audience. It's, it serves a purpose to do it in a group. The individual gets a certain message, but then the group gets a message, and then Sarah and I get our own messages and healing through that too. So it's just, it's indescribable. You're just going to have to come and experience it for yourself, because there's no way to describe it. I mean, even if you watched it on TV, you do not feel the emotion and the energy of it's the difference in watching a concert on TV and then being live in concert.
Being there.
And feeling the energy and the bass of the music pumping, like it's so different. So the only way you would really know what it's like is to come experience it for yourself.
As an attendee, I've been to 2 or 3 galleries before, and I have never received a personal read. Like I've never, I think maybe all my relatives are polite and they'll stand in the back and let but as someone who has attended a couple of these before and has never received a special reading, I would say yes, I still benefited from it. I wanted to comment, I'm not a practicing medium, but I've had my little stuff here and there, and I noticed for myself, Emily and I attended the little practice run that y'all gave last weekend, and it was, first of all, it was entertaining. So it's hard to go just to hang out with some cool people and be entertaining. And the energy and the love and the excitement, you feel all that. But it was also interesting as a lay person, where as far as being a medium, I found myself feeling some of the sensations y'all were saying y'all were feeling. And so it was validation to me. I didn't necessarily have to speak to my loved ones. I loved seeing everybody. I loved seeing other people get to speak with their loved ones. And I would feel the little tap on the shoulder, or the little chill, or the little, flutter here or there. And so, I would say, if you go in, like Emily said, with an open mind and go, if you're going there, of course you want to get a message, but you're also going there not only to support the humans that are in the audience and to support you and Jessica, but support those loved ones in spirit who are coming through. Like bring I think it's very important to have the audience members are a key component to this being a beautiful experience, because each person, whether they're a medium or not, they are a light and a beacon to these souls that are coming in. And we're actually, I'm getting chills saying this, we're actually helping them come in to speak. Like we are inviting them. And so I think whatever your expectation is, just go with an open mind, and maybe have the expectation that you're going to have a good time.
Yeah. I would also say too that for a lot of people, Like I always say in my one-on-one practice, or if in a small group with a bunch of people, I'll say, I can't guarantee who's going to show up to the spiritual party. I can't guarantee that. I don't know who's available. They might not be available. They might be doing a job. It's quite possible that they could have moved on and reincarnated. But doing a job feels more likely to happen from my perspective and my experience when we can't reach somebody that somebody wanted to come in. But the other thing that's really important too is I tell clients, if they're booking a session, put your flashlight up, pray, ask the universe, send that prayer up, sit and meditate and wait for something to pop in. Set your own intention that you would like a certain loved one to come in. If you just say everybody, well, that's your whole family can show up, and then Jessica and I have to discern who's, right? But if you say specifically, like on Saturday night, we had one participant who was really calling in somebody in particular, and that soul showed up big time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we were able to connect beautifully with that energy and deliver some really intense healing message to that sitter that evening. It was beautiful. It was one of the highlights for me that evening. That and the lights dimming.
I know.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
Look, I go to this particular space. I go there fairly often. I've done classes there. I've held events there. Them lights, I never done that before. that was I was like, yeah, that was not a staged thing.
So for
It was-
folks in the audience listening to this, we were connecting with a loved one. Jessica and I were, Jess, you should talk about this, how we connect, what we were doing in terms of connecting. And this person showed up in a big, big way. And then I really just think to confirm all of the messages that were coming in, literally the lights dimmed. They just, and they didn't really come back. They just kind of stayed there. I
they
don't,
stayed
right?
dimmed. And
Yeah.
we're all sitting down. You and Jessica are standing.
Nobody
everybody
was by the
else
light.
sitting, There's
Nobody.
nobody.
No.
And I think I talked to one or two other people. So like right before it happened, like a split second before it happened, I felt something, like a little.
Yeah.
And then which got my like, and then I saw the light.
Yes.
Dim. And
So amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
incredible.
see it. and I tell you why I didn't see it. I think I was the only one, because I had my eyes closed, because I felt that energy hit me so big in a big way that it just kind of like took me back and centered me, and I had closed my eyes for just a brief moment. But when I opened them, I was like, is it darker in here? But I didn't actually see them go down. And so I hate I missed that, but I felt it in my body in a really big way. And so it was really amazing.
So there's two ways that we read. One would be solo. One of us would be on at a time, right? And then the other way is we call it piggybacking.
And so solo is you have a turn for like 10, 15 minutes, do 2 or 3 readings, and then you take a break and Jessica comes in. And that's how y'all started off the
gallery reading.
The gallery we did the other night.
The inaugural gallery reading.
Yes, the inaugural gallery.
Thank you, Krista.
But then there's another way. So yeah, tell us about the piggyback, how y'all do that. If you don't mind, trade secrets.
Who starts off? Or are you both like turning on?
We can do it 2 different ways. Let's say Sarah connects to the loved one first, and then I blend with Sarah's energy and connect to the loved one through Sarah. Or we can I don't have to connect to Sarah or through Sarah to connect to the same loved one that she's connected with. So if you could picture it, the first way is Sarah connects, and I'm over here, and I connect to Sarah, and then up. I see it this way, like an L shape to the spirit communicator, right? So it's like this. I come in on that same wavelength and energy frequency, But then we can also do it a different way of where you have your loved one here and Sarah will connect to them and I will connect to them, but Sarah and I are not connected together. And when we do it that way, we receive and perceive different messages through our own giftings. But when we connect
Mhm.
in that L-shaped way, it's more of a validating thing where I'm receiving the same information that Sarah's receiving and then a little bit extra, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And when it's the opposite way, like I receive the primary information and Sarah will receive the same information, but also the little tidbits that she picks up on that I miss because they just kind of flood you with all the information at once, right? It's like this, or for me, it's like that. So it's this download of information or this movie clip, right? And if you see this movie clip and scene, you can see, you can hear, you can smell, you can taste, you can feel it in your body. And I can only say so much. And then Sarah can bring in, or I can bring in that little extra that is important that maybe I missed. And so that's how it works when we kind of piggyback in that way. And then when we're separately connected, but Sarah and I aren't connected to each other, we may be receiving totally different information about what the communicator is trying to tell us. So that piggybacking for me kind of works. I see it in that kind of way.
So somebody is the lead, right?
Yes.
So somebody is like the anchor. And then the other person is like a small boat connected to the anchor.
Yes, riding the wave.
Yes, exactly. You're riding the wave. Yep.
Perfect.
And
That's
that
a
takes
great way.
a lot of trust
Yes.
and
Practice.
practice and really knowing body, like we read each other's cues and sometimes we mess it up, not gonna lie. But
We're
sometimes,
human.
right, we're human and we know that about each other and we love each other for that. But sometimes we literally are reading psychically each other's body language to know when it's okay to come in with our little side hustle or to come back to the primary. It's literally like an ebb and a flow. It's like literally being on a teeter-totter where the spirit's like in the middle and then we kind of humanly have to move back and forth to challenge and support one another in that way to find the levelness of it, right? So somebody's the lead, somebody's the anchor, and then somebody is the small boat kind of hanging on to be supported and to support the big boat. So it's a really cool method. It does take, like I said, it takes a lot of trust to work with the person that you've decided to be in connection with. Not only can they read, because your auric fields are literally blending, your little bubbles are now becoming two bubbles in one. And so sometimes she's reading me as I'm reading her as we're connecting here. It's a lot going on.
And trying to speak to the audience so that
Yes,
they know what's
it's a
going
lot.
on. And so
Right.
it's definitely a muscle that takes working out to be able to fluctuate back and forth between the communicator, between each other and the audience.
So
Right.
how do y'all
Right.
practice this?
With you guys.
You can practice.
Y'all did great.
There are development circles and things like that, but to practice gallery style reading, you have to have an audience to do it. And so that's
you have to have a lot of people.
We love doing this, and it's developing a different muscle and a different skill than it is one-on-one, to be able to work with all those moving parts. So one of the things you asked is, what do we expect of the audience? We expect you guys to be forgiving of our humanness when we club it up, and laugh with us about it. Like, I don't get down on myself or get down on Sarah when we mess something up. It's just part of the experience. And I think it helps the audience to know that we're just humans too, trying to remove our ego to deliver these messages. We're just conduits for the messages. We're not the message or the message, So we're human.
And I think it's important to know too, that we're constantly, I mean, even with each other, calling each other out on our humanness. And if their ego is in the way, we do that for each other to keep it real in a loving, kind, respectful way. But we're both very committed to doing our work and staying within our light and understanding when I talked about this in our last podcast, the fuck yous versus the thank yous. The fuck yous being when your emotions are really, really big and you're in your ego and you just are pissed off at the world. And then how do you remove those ego layers to get to places of gratitude to say thank you? And that takes, again, a lot of trust and love between a partnership to make that happen. That's in any relationship. And that's a genuine, authentic part of our friendship that we have continued to work on over the years. And our friendship hasn't been perfect. And we've talked about that. And we continue to hash things out, but we continue to hold loving space for one another. That's why this works so well, because we appreciate and love each other enough to call each other out on our bullshit. Right.
Yes.
And hold a lot of loving space for one another when we just need it humanly or spiritually to help us make sense of something. So I just, that's a really important part of our partnership and our relationship that I feel like, and I would hope that that comes across when we read. The other thing that I really, and I told Jessica when we started this, I said, I really want our sessions to be conversational. I don't want them to feel like there's like this hard line between us as the mediums and the audience. I wanted it to feel more conversational. And I think in our practice run, I feel like we achieved that.
Yes.
My mediumship
sure.
and my gifting is not like I am the be all know it all. That's ego. That's ego to me. It's a softer, more gentle approach to being authentic is what I think we we really were in practice when we did have that smaller group. I was really proud of us, Jessica. High five, girl.
No, yeah.
Yes.
You know,
High five.
what I regretted is I really didn't know what to expect. And so the next time I do it, I do want to like become prepared. And I know I asked you, how do you guys prepare to, like what hygiene do you use to have things be open? And me as an audience member, if I do want to come the next time I do attend one of these, I want to come prepared and start having those prayers, because I do want to see if something shows up. So
Can I say something real quick before y'all
Yes.
answer that question? I feel like, and I don't know if it's because I've been told this from y'all or other people, or if it's just that even if that particular loved one doesn't come through the medium specifically saying, you could still get messages from your loved one in your heart and mind. In other words, like, my dad didn't show up, but my dad kept being on my mind that night. And there was a couple of things that like I saw similarities between other people's readings with my dad. It could be my dad's energy. Like, I didn't necessarily feel him in the room, so I'm not sure that he was actually there. But that's just an example of, is it possible that even if, because you got so many voices talking, but you got so many people you're trying to sift through, could a loved one give a little psychic nudge to an audience member? You understand what I'm saying? And Emily, I'm sorry, I think I took you totally off the topic, but
no,
y'all understand what I'm saying? Is that a thing?
Yes, your loved ones always show up. We can't connect with each one. That does not mean that they are not there. And as Sarah mentioned earlier, the one that you want to connect with may be doing other work or anything like that, but that doesn't mean that when they're done with that you won't be able to connect with them. But a lot of times, at least for me, loved ones will come in together and they will ride the same energy wave in. And so you can have more than one loved one. Like sometimes a husband and wife will come in together, or a brother and sister, or cousins will come in together, aunts will come in together. But also, it may be that your loved one is coming in with someone else's loved one because they have a similar energy and a similar message. And so if you feel that it hits you,
that's what I was,
like you can feel it in your body. Some people will get ringing, or they'll get chills, or their heart will flutter, or they'll just know, like, that's for me too, and that's how Sarah and I kind of will receive messages for ourselves when those
Mm-hmm.
loved ones come in together, whether it's both your family members or it's two different people coming in on the same energy wave with a similar or the same message. And so, yes,
Mm-hmm.
even if we don't give the evidence that, okay, this person looks like this, or they pass away, or whatever, that message is still there. Your loved one is still working
Mm-hmm.
through that energy wave to deliver that message. Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. There was one point in the evening when there was like, I remember I was trying to connect, I don't even know, I felt like 3 or 4 different male energies, and some of the evidence was the same for every single one, and like 4 or 5 hands kept popping up. And then from those 4 people, I had to ask to pare it down and pare it down. And we eventually got like a couple of key phrases or a couple of pieces of evidence that somebody said, that is definitely mine. And then the other ones kind of fall away or just held on, but they held space for that other one to come through that had a word or a phrase or something else that somebody was like, yeah. So it's important to say yes. It's important to say yes when it's your person.
Or even if you don't know, it's okay to say, I think it
Yes,
might
even
be
that's
my
okay.
person, and let
Right,
us
because we
help
had 4 or
figure
5
it out.
people. Right, we had 4 or 5 people say, yeah, that could be me, that could be me, that could be me, right? How awesome was that? People said yes.
Yes,
That
it
was
takes a
really
lot of
cool.
energy for your loved ones to come down energetically to meet. Like, they have to lower their energy, and we have to raise ours up and meet in the middle. And so they don't say things frivolously, right? Like, there's always intent with it. There's always a purpose behind it. And I would hate for someone to miss out on a message because they weren't sure. I'd rather them raise their hand and say, it might be me or it might not. I need more information, and let us help deliver that information so that we can whittle it down, to
Right.
the right person. It's
Mhm.
okay to raise your hand and it not be your loved one. Don't,
Absolutely. That's
we're
not
no
shameful
one's
or
judging.
embarrassing. That's actually helpful to us. That's what that
Yes,
is. It's
yes,
very helpful to
very
us as an
helpful.
audience member. So it's there's no shame if you're wrong. There's no judgment if you're wrong. There is nothing wrong. You could absolutely be feeling, like Jessica said, the coattails of all that energy blending together. And then our job is to pick out a couple of, ask for more evidence to get to one specific person.
So I'll go back to Emily's question. Emily, do you have another question, or you want me to go back to your original question?
Well, I know I shared with you, Sarah. Well, I shared a little bit that my mother passed away, at age 39, and I was 18, and I don't see her or hear her, but sometimes she's been giving me flashes of my life, as in, like, I see you, I saw you at this stage. I'll see her looking at me and watching
Through her
my
eyes.
life. Yeah. And that came through. I feel it came through in the reading at your gallery for me.
Did she sing?
Huh?
Did she hum or sing? What is it about?
Sure,
Like, okay,
I'm sure she
I'm
did.
hearing,
I
I'm
do
hearing
all the
that
time.
possibly as she went around busy work or something.
Well,
Feels like it sounds like more like hymnals.
Kids.
Oh, I'm sure she did. Yes.
So, Emily, I remember that very specifically, because during that moment, you were asking that question, and she was there was a blonde and a redhead that came in,
Yeah.
and you asked about the blonde more specifically. And that is one of the instances of where the energy of your mom rode in the wavelength with that other blonde, because the messages were similar. And I could see
Correct.
your mom when you asked about it, and I could see you through your mother's eyes, the way that she is showing you in your head. So, yes, absolutely, to validate your mother was there.
That's what I
And
felt.
you are experiencing that, because I saw you at that age with the cat, right? The cat
Yeah.
did not fit the other blonde.
Right.
It did not fit the other blonde, and it did not fit the redhead. That was your mother. And she showed me you at that age of how she saw you and how she remembered you. And that was validation that she is with you through these different experiences in your life, even if you don't feel her. That's her communication tool to you. And that's one of the things that I think is so amazing is one of the questions that we get asked a lot is like, do they stay, or are we really feeling them? And because when someone passes, they'll stay for about 2 to 3 weeks at the most to help us grieve, to help us transition. They want to make sure that we're okay. And then they go up into 5D, and they go through a life review. They have healing, because being human is traumatic. You know, we always need some healing and some respite and some rest. And they'll say, I felt them for that time, and now I don't feel them anymore. They left me. No, they didn't. They didn't. They're just doing their work. They're healing.
Right.
And months later, sometimes less, sometimes more, you'll start to feel them again, and you'll start to see those signs. They'll be showing you pictures or images, or you'll see a red bird or whatever. Sometimes they leave coins. Sometimes you just feel the chills, or you hear wind chimes and you know it's them. So they don't leave. They stay to help us grieve and transition. Then they need to do some soul work, and then they're there. They're there with us. And that's validation for you that she does see you at all these different points in your life, that she's not left you, even if you don't feel or sense her in the same way that someone else does. And that's okay.
Right.
And her personality was one, like when I was saying a few minutes ago, was not the type that would push to the front of the line. You know, she just.
That makes sense on why she wrote in, because she wanted them to have their turn, and I very much felt that.
And
Yes.
she didn't say, I'm here. She said, I just saw you.
I see you.
Oh,
I see you.
yes,
And then what
I
about
see you.
her? I mean, she was a
Right.
very giving
Humble
person.
person. Yes.
And
She was a
I mean,
pink.
she had her.
She was a giver.
She
She-
was.
She was a
Mhm.
giver.
Oh, let me tell
Very
y'all
nurturing
something
and
funny
loving.
that happened the other day. Is Chris and I have been doing a lot of plans, and we've been talking about with our planners out, and a cat. Well, cats were in my room, and one of my mom's old planners fell to the floor, and it's actually her Bible.
I just got
her Bible
chills.
notes. And I flipped it over, and it was right there to a planning thing. Like she was planning
Planning an
for an
event.
event. And I'm like, look at her. She just
If you
wanted to
give me
show
what-
that she's been having
we're planning-
fun and remember.
We're planning some events, and then that, but and it's just like
That's
she's just
awesome.
validating that. She's saying she's proud of us that we're.
Yes. So I want to thank y'all for doing that. I mean, because that is not something that I would have expected that I would have gotten out of a gallery reading. You know, working through
I
that.
will tell you too, when somebody else's grandmother came in that was sitting on your side of the room, my ego self, my Sarah self, thought it was Granny, because that energy was the same, right? And then I said something else, and it transitioned to a different person. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So same thing, girls. Granny was there.
But
Yeah.
she's gonna stay at the back of the line too. She's
you know,
she's
That would have been part of
told-
her personality.
Yeah, I told
Yeah.
him that too, though. I told him when we came in, though. I mean, when I came in, I was like, y'all are with me. I don't really need y'all. You know, let's let somebody else here who doesn't have the connection. So that's kind of.
Well, Emily, let me ask you a question, because I think this was possibly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, the first time that you've experienced something like that. What was the experience like for you?
What, in a reading like that?
As an audience member.
Last
it
Saturday.
was-
What was it like for you?
I was just having fun.
Yay.
It
Us
was
too.
fun. I mean, I wasn't scared, or I was always like, oh, that doesn't sound like anybody I know. I was getting like so frustrated because I'm like, oh, wait, I know somebody who smokes a pipe. No, that's not him. It was just like, I was on the edge of my seat, like, But part of me wanted to see if someone distantly that I didn't know would come in.
But
So
we know
next
that
time-
it wasn't in the,
yeah, next time I come, I'm going to set an intention for that great great grandfather. That I
oh, here's
researched.
a question. How typically in these kind of readings, how far back do y'all ever have relatives come in that are like 2, 3, 4 generations back that maybe or is usually that moved on to other?
We
food
can,
groups?
but we try to set the intention that it will be somebody that you've met, that you
Yes.
can validate the evidence that we're given. But we have had experiences where it's been, great, great, great grandfather come in, I think, and he came in with the great grandfather because I think there was an heirloom pocket watch that had came from him that had been passed down. So he came in with that, but he wasn't the direct speaker because the audience member wouldn't have been able to validate a lot of his personality or anything like that. And so they can do that, but we try to set the intention that it's someone that you've known in this lifetime that you're directly connected with. I think the messages are more intimate and more healing in that way.
Yes, I would agree.
And it makes it
It's hard when
easier
you're
to
sitting
know
there.
who it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And the sitter's like, well, I don't know. I can't validate. And we're like, we understand this information coming in. And then the sitters feels bad because they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then it kind of feels like it's not a waste of time because the energy needs to move, but it's humanly can be frustrating.
We've had them email us and say, I checked with my mom and she had newspaper clippings about this, and they'll email us later and tell us and validate everything that we said. They just couldn't do it because they didn't know them, but they did the research and they checked and everything was true, and they emailed and let us know.
Something that would be better in a one-on-one setting than trying to do something like that in a gallery. Yeah.
Well, I can be sort of skeptic too. When I came in there, I'm like, I research family history all the time, so I'm like, could they have Googled it?
Okay, so let me say this. These chicks don't have time to be Googling.
No, we really don't.
I know y'all don't.
I'm glad you said that, Krista. No, we don't have time.
And I'm not very tech savvy, so I wouldn't even know
Neither
where
am
to start. And I welcome skeptics. My job is not to turn you into a believer at all. My job is to show up and remove my human self and deliver messages from your loved ones. Whether you choose to believe in that or not is out of my control. I'm not here to make anybody believe. Sarah and I still sometimes call each other and are like, is this real? Are we really doing this? Or have we lost our marbles? Like, we're just as skeptic as the next person. And I think there's a good balance in that, because it always helps me to tune in and to be self-aware and to check myself and where my humility and ego are. If I do believe clearly, but sometimes I'm like, this is so crazy, I can't make this up, it must not be real. But it is.
And there's a difference between a skeptic and a debunker. I mean, it's good to be skeptical.
That's a good point, Krista. What do you mean by that?
To come in. Well, like a debunker would be someone who just has already decided something's a certain way, and it's their agenda to prove their point regardless of evidence.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's something for there can be a debunker about debunkers on many different topics. But so Emily, no, your skepticism is welcome and appreciated.
Much appreciated.
But the description of that time in my life, y'all couldn't have Googled that.
No.
that version of what my mother was seeing and repeating back was dead on exact. So I believe.
Well, I'm so
That's
glad.
great.
I'm so glad.
But
Well,
okay,
I'm so glad we could have been your virgin experience.
yes,
I
share
love
your
that.
thoughts.
I know,
Uh,
she ain't
I love
Okay,
it. I love it.
I do want to go back a little bit about the hygiene, because next time I come,
Yeah.
I want to, like, do you encourage participants to bring in maybe a trinket or something that, you know, of a loved one to have, or just, do y'all change your diet? Do you eat clean food before?
Yep.
Are you hydrate? I think
Yes.
y'all need to hydrate.
Girl, I couldn't hold my bladder all day on Saturday. I was drinking so much water.
I think I drank 8 bottles of water in that 3-hour period we were there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a great question.
I felt like a
great question.
camel. So for audience members, I would say don't have a stressful day if you can avoid it, and the next day, right? Because sometimes you just need a little bit of time to process it. If you can work your schedule around to where you can just like relax and enjoy and center yourself and talk to your loved ones, ask them to come in, bring a trinket, absolutely. It just kind of helps bring their energy into a physical way. And then the next day, if you're able to, have someone that you can discuss and process with, and share your experience in the healing if you need to. Sometimes people need that. Hydrate, drink water. Water is a conduit of energy. So the more water you have, the better. And it helps cleanse all kinds of physical toxins, but also energetic, stuff that needs to come and flow out. So, but there's nothing really in particular that you need to do except just ask for them to come in and to be open to receiving, open to whatever experience that you're meant to have. And then I'll let
But we
Sarah-
also have we have a hygiene practice, and mine's a little bit different from Jessica's. But I the day of I try to eat a liquid diet so that my digestion in my body is not working so much that I can't receive message through my body as my communication tool. So if typically when I read for clients, I read first thing in the morning, where I fasted and I'm only drinking water or drinking coffee black. But if the event is later on in the day, I typically just try to get a liquid diet, and especially if it's going to be a big event. I don't eat a lot of like heavy salad dressings or a lot of dairy or heavy meat, red meats that takes a lot of time for the body to digest. Also, I don't want to feel bloated or gassy. Like, I have to go to the bathroom while I'm standing up there. That's not fun. I don't want to deal with any of that human shit. Like, I just want to be a conduit. I just want my PVC pipe to be wide open, and the human parts of that make me human, like that can just sit for a little bit. So I can set that aside so I can just connect. So showering as close to the event as possible to get the day away always feels good. Again, the liquid diet, also a big part of that. That morning, I went out for a walk by myself outside. I tried to get outside in the sun. The sun is definitely a major energetic factor for me physically, emotionally, and spiritually. So I sat in the sun for a while. I meditated in the sun for a while. I pulled out some fear out of my chest that morning that I knew was in there, so that I could be a better conduit for that evening. I set prayer and intention that morning. I did that while I was walking, and I repeated it to myself as I was on my path. The day before, I didn't eat a lot of meat. I kind of slowed that process down too. Everybody, it's a little bit different, but there's definitely has to continue. Like I said before, there is an emotional connection that we need to move out of the way so our egos can just sit. They can just have a seat for a little bit so that our conduits can be open. Digestion is a major part of that. If you're eating, and the other thing is alcohol. There's no alcohol until everything is done, and there's no alcohol for like a couple of days before, just to make sure that that's kind of cleared out of the body as well. Because alcohol can change your physical state, which changes your emotional state, which can change the connection with spirit. So opens you up to some things too that you might not energetically be might be okay with. Now, I will say, sometimes alcohol can be fun when you're with the right person and you're reading,
Yeah.
because can have a purpose too. But generally speaking, with large events and something that's very serious, that's a very strict no for me.
Yeah, yes. I was going to say something a second ago. Oh yeah, I just wanted to say it because a lot of energy is coming in, and if your body is so busy with all these its natural processes, overworked by its own natural processes, it's just gonna well also, especially like for you, Sarah, and maybe Jessica, for you too, you use your body as part of the tool or the barometer of feeling things, and if you feel a pain under your right rib, you want to make sure it's not because you got a burp.
Right, or that you have gas. Like, seriously, you don't want to be like, excuse me, I'm just gonna relieve myself a minute. Did anybody else have gas? Did your loved ones gassy? I mean, they could be. I mean, everybody has gas. It's just part of being human, but you seriously don't want your humanness being all over the place.
And as being a Reiki practitioner, when all these energies come in, I mean, you feel like it does something to your body physically. So,
now afterwards, I need salt, because my adrenal glands at that point will have been tapped out, because I'm feeling not only my own emotions going through the process, but I'm feeling all the loved ones that are coming in too. So there is, for a lot of psychic mediums, their adrenal glands can become very ill or diseased because they're not nourished in the way that they should be afterwards. So that's something that I have to work on. But salt is a big part of that practice. Dark chocolate is another part of that practice. And then afterwards, having a glass of wine to calm the nervous system is not a bad idea.
Yeah, the after party.
Yeah, the after, dressing after.
Yeah, Jessica, what about you? Do you have any specific?
I do. I think first and foremost, though, and Sarah, if I'm going to speak for you, but if it doesn't fit, you can correct me.
Go for it. Go for it.
Hygiene for psychic mediums is really a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
It's eating healthy generally all the time in balance, right? Doing your own inner work so that you can release all those things and be that open conduit. So that it's a daily practice. It's a daily medicine. But the biggest thing that I do is I always ground. I always clear my energy of anything that no longer serves. And I put up a protection bubble around myself every day, but specifically before events. And like Sarah said, no alcohol. I typically don't drink very much, but definitely no alcohol 3 to 5 days before an event. For me, I typically start to fast 3 days before, where I'm just doing like water vegetables, not heavy root vegetables, but like cucumbers and lettuce and tomatoes and onions and stuff like that, very light water kind of base foods. I don't eat any meat. I hardly eat any bread. And the day of, it's if it'll go through a straw, I'll drink it, But other than that, it just takes so much energy to digest it. Like Sarah said, you don't want to use your energy to be digesting. You want to use your energy to be the conduit, right? And then I will call in my own guides and my own team and my own spiritual ancestors and whatever else I need to show up for me so that I can be a clear vessel, like Sarah said. And I use Reiki, I use Seraph energy, I use Mother Earth, Gaia, all kinds of archangels. I use whatever is tool or energy is available to use to set up protection around the venue. and all who come to it. I set the intention that only, high frequency loved ones come in, and that everyone is protected. I'm protected. We set up energy grids, and I will, if I'm having like a lot of extra stress in my life, I will go to somebody and I will get a Reiki session, or I will get a sound healing session, or I'll have some sort of clearing session so that I can keep my energy up, because I'm human too. And I have days where I'm just like, and I just feel drug out. And so I do whatever I need to do to clear anything that doesn't serve and raise my frequency, and then set intention and protection for the venue, for myself, and anyone who comes through the door.
Because spiritual people are human too.
Yes, we all are, for sure. And
Yeah.
then it helps if you've got Reiki friends who can pluck energies off you that you don't want to take home. That's always super helpful. Wink, 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 wink. But in practice too, coming home, like I shower. I don't bring any of that energy into my bed. My bed is my sacred space. So I shower. I put on a clean pair of pajamas. And typically, this is going to sound a little strange too, but I literally clear all the bed sheets off and make sure that they're clean. So when I get in, everything's clean.
Yeah.
I
I like to be out in nature before and after. I like to have my feet in the ground, or my hands. It doesn't matter how cold it is. I need to be outside just 5 to 10 minutes at the minimum. It just really helps me to feel open and free, and to remove any of my humanness when I'm out in nature. Water. If there's a lake or a pond or a spillway or a water fountain, I want to be by that too if I can. So that helps. I'm with the way that Sarah is with the sun, I think.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. Yep.
We've got the one coming up on March 25th. That's a Saturday from 6 to 9 at Soul. Again, that's at Soul Synergy Rocks and Crystals. And then you also have one set for the same location on June 17th from 6 to 9.
Correct.
September 23rd, also same time, and December 9th, all Saturday nights from 6 to 9.
If someone's never had a reading before and they're new to the whole mediumship thing, is there a benefit to coming to a gallery versus starting out with a one-on-one reading? Is that just personal preference? Are gallery participants, does there some advantage to them having experience with this, or is a newbie, is that a great place for a person who's first curious?
I think so, because you get to kind of see what it's like a little bit without having to like actively participate and be put on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, or have the fear, because Sarah and I always ask if we can work with that person. And if that person isn't ready to receive that message, they have full authority to say, not at this time, no, thank you. Or, like, I know who it is, but I'm not ready for that right now. And, so you can just kind of experience a little bit of what it's like. It is different in a one-to-one or a small group.
It's a great way to get your feet wet.
Yes.
In all this. And,
well, a lot of people too, I just want to acknowledge this as well. We're in the Deep South, right? Christianity is bountiful in our community. The notion of working with a psychic or a medium is considered close work to the devil for some people,
taboo,
right?
Yes.
It's very taboo. Jessica and I don't feel that at all. It's the closest thing you can get to source. Like we experience, this is the closest opportunity you can get to feeling source or divinity or God, universe, spirit, Allah, Jesus, Moses. I don't care who you pray to. To me, it's oneness, and it's all the same energy, and it's all about unconditional love. So if you're thinking that might be something that might fit indifferently to you because of the way that you were brought up, that's okay. This could be a really cool way to experience this in a group setting so that you can kind of discern on your own what felt good, and we talk about, when we start, what does something feel like in your body? The chills that you might have, knowing when you walk into a room and somebody was talking about you, thinking about your best friend and she texts or calls you, like that's all energy frequency. And we as humans just kind of chalk that up as to being a coincidence. Nothing is coincidental. Everything is serendipitous. Everything. So if you come to a gallery reading, it could be because you're really trying to understand how it works. And that's okay. We welcome that wholeheartedly. And it's not going to fit with everybody's belief system. That's okay too. That's okay too. And you might just chalk it up to something fun you did on a Saturday night. Also okay. Welcome
Right.
those folks as well.
And if they're a little unsure, so they just sit in the back.
They can sit
Yes, we'll
wherever
have-
they feel most comfortable. They can wear a
Exactly.
wig and a ball cap and cover up tight if they want to, you know, and be as
We'll still welcome them.
inconspicuous.
Yes, yes. Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to see where this takes y'all, and well, what I'm more excited about is the opportunity for healing and expansion and personal growth for people who come to these galleries. That's what excites me most. This for
Yes.
for some people, this could be their first step into their spiritual
Yes,
path, or the next step in
it
their
could be.
awakening or their enlightenment, or raising their
Yeah.
consciousness. And so
One
this is
gallery Jessica and I read at, we got some feedback in an email, and the woman was talking about how she had a feeling that this person, the energy that somebody was reading, was her stepfather, and things, she didn't raise her hand because she was scared. But what she talked about in the email was the feeling of him behind, and she felt that for the first time in her life, and it scared her a little bit. So she was feeling her emotions and couldn't quite raise her hand because she was trying to discern what was happening in her body, because she was feeling that energy for the first time.
yes.
That email that we received afterwards was beautiful and kind, and we were all like, "Woo-hoo-hoo, go girl," because that's also can happen and be a big deal. Somebody could have their awakening could start at a session like this. That's not unusual, because they're literally feeling the energy of the room and understanding that there might be something more than they've ever known throughout their whole lives.
But I do
How
want
cool
to
is
tell
that?
everybody, if you're interested in this, and regardless of whether you've been to gallery readings before or not, it's gonna be a good time. Y'all were just y'all were just fun to watch and fun to listen to. Like, we didn't really care if we got a reading for ourselves or not, because y'all were entertaining. Y'all
It's so
were.
fun for me. I have so much fun. I can't, it's
We
like,
do.
So Jessica,
I feel like a
that's the
kid
thing.
riding a bike, you know, like I love it. It's like sunshine on my face.
And Jessica, it showed. Y'all weren't
Mhm.
just up there entertaining and acting. Y'all were being in the moment. All that was truly what y'all were thinking and feeling and experiencing, and you were in pure joy with it, and it showed, and it was just a joy to watch and to be a part of it. So anyway, any final details we need to give?
I just want to say, I'm going to speak a little bit for Jessica, because she's probably going to say yes. I think one of the biggest honors of our lives, first of all, is being moms, but then second of all is having these amazing gifts to deliver message and use our bodies as a conduit, to deliver healing and love and laughter and light. And even if the messages are challenging, I promise you, we work really hard to find the right words, or to find the right way to explain something, so that it comes out in a way that is for your highest good always. It is our honor.
Heart to heart.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you. Okay, so what else is going on? Y'all doing anything else y'all want to share?
There's so much more. Well, of course, Jessica takes private clients, as do I. I can let Jessica talk about that for her personal practice, but I see a lot of clients mostly over Zoom. It's convenient, it's easy. I read for clients all over the country. in that way. The energy, we often get questions about that. Is the energy different? No, I promise you it's not. It's just as if somebody was sitting in front of you. Energy transmits anywhere. It doesn't matter of technology to be able to read in a situation. So that's an option. And then also on March 4th and 5th, there's a psychic fair at Soul Synergy, and I will be there on the 4th, which is Saturday, for the whole time, the whole duration of the whole day. Jessica?
I will be at the fair on the 4th and the 5th at Soul Synergy, and that's from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And you can kind of get little mini sessions and try things out. I do psychic readings, I do mediumship readings, I do Reiki sessions. I also do animal communication and animal mediumship. In my private stuff, I do, like Sarah said, one-on-one. I do small group readings as well. Like I did a party for a bachelorette party that is what they wanted to do. So it was about 10 people, and I did a small group reading, and that was really fun. I do guided meditations. I teach, my big thing is grounding, clearing, and protecting, and how to listen to your body. And I recently got attuned to galactic Reiki, which is interesting, and my goddess energy. So I'm learning to work with those. Sarah and I both do Seraphim blueprint healing as well. And I'm also a healing touch practitioner. So I just integrate all of these beautiful things in together and hope to learn and grow more. Sarah does a lot of other things too. Sarah, do you want to talk about some of the other things you do in your practice?
I also, Sarah from Angel Blueprint Angel Energy is a huge part of my practice. And so I'll be offering that in sessions in a combination of different ways with different strands of energy. Jessica and I can both offer solar washes for folks, which are a very healing energy from the sun. I'll be offering those straight psychic, straight mediumship, sometimes it blends together. Auric cards are another option that I'll be sharing on that day. And then really one of the things that I do teach a lot between psychic and mediumship is spiritual life management tools. And how to use your body as your communication tool, how to listen to your body, how to feel a yes or a no in your body, how to understand where emotion gets stuck in the physical body and how to move it out of the physical body so that you really understand that you are your biggest healer, that you are your biggest source of peace and connection and harmony within you, because that's really all you do need, right? Reiki energy also flows. Krista is my teacher. So thank you, Krista. For those attunements and that healing practice. And sometimes it's all just kind of fun if everything rolls into one, because you never know who's going to show up to the spiritual party. So you just never know.
Exactly.
That's kind of the beauty in all of these modalities that we've all, been attuned to or work with or have cultivated either through direct connection with our guides or in a human form with our teachers. So that's really cool. That's really cool. And we continue to learn. Jessica and I continue to learn. I have a teacher who I work with monthly, sometimes twice a month. And she's continuing to help me understand more of the expansion of these gifts. And it's a really cool opportunity to continue to grow. So that's what we're working on.
Always a student. That's what I think more than anything is I'm a student.
Yes.
I'm a student. Yes.
My great grandmother always said, when you stop learning, you're dead. And I was like,
I love that.
That's not even true, because there's so much healing and growth on the other side, soul work too. So my tools and gifts continually expand. I mean, I couldn't possibly list them all in one thing. I should probably keep a list, because when people ask me, I'm like, oh, I forgot these 10 other things that I can do,
I know.
like all these other tools
awesome.
that I have.
Yes. But the beauty is when it does blend, right? And that's when we get to really be our authentic selves, because we've taken and chosen what to use from different teachers or different experiences, and we can apply it directly to our clients. Always learning, always learning. That never stops. And that's why I love teaching spiritual life management tools, because it teaches, we're working with source and energy to become more in touch with who we are.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I really appreciate
Yes.
the opportunity to talk about the
Thank you
galleries and
all.
everything else we have going on. You ladies have so much
You're welcome.
going on, and I'm so proud of you and all
Thank
the
you.
growth that you've had over this past year. It's
Yes.
been amazing to watch you guys blossom and grow.
Oh,
I
thank
would agree.
We're just
I
riding
would
the way.
agree.
I did just, it's,
Please keep writing because it's beautiful. And this is exactly what we need in the state of Mississippi to come together in a community. And we might not all agree on everything, but we can agree that there is something else out there because we feel it.
Mhm.
yes, yes.
Thank you guys
Well,
for doing your
thank-
work.
Thank y'all for taking time out of your evening.
And so we will have, I'll add the information in the description, and we'll share a little bit more about both of you on our website when we release this. And so they should be able to go to Soul Synergy. I'll have all that at the location. They can find out information about the event, as well
Yes, ma'am.
as possibly through both of your social media handles or
And Metaphysical Mississippi will be hopefully allowing, we can post there. It would be great. I just saw your new
Yes.
rules today. They were great.
Yes.
Um,
We'll have the information.
Instagram, Facebook, Soul Synergy will have their own posts about what's happening. We'll be flooding it as well with our own personal posts as well.
We cannot wait to get the word out about what y'all are doing. And we're excited.
Thank you guys so much. So
I'm
excited.
so grateful and honored.
Agreed.
I'm blown away every time. Like, I can't believe
I think our
doing this.
heart chakras just get more expansive every time because there's so much more love for the human experience.
I know. You're like, you feel honored that you get to do this for people. Like, you let me to do it.
I know, right? Like,
Well, y'all stepped up. It wasn't just they picked, it wasn't just that you were picked, but you had to step up and do it. So thank you for
All right.
stepping into your power and your calling.
well, Sarah kind of
Thank
pushed
you.
me, I'll be honest, and I'm grateful for that because it's something I always wanted to do. And she loves and encourages and supports me and pushes me out of my comfort zone. And I'm grateful for that. So
We all need that sometimes.
Well, I kept getting kicked in the butt in my in-between space. So I had to do something. Otherwise it wasn't going to go away. We talked about that in messages, Emily. The message was clearly there. And it
Yeah.
was like, okay, Sarah, move.
Yes.
So, all right, ladies. Well,
thank you so much
you
for
both.
having us.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent.